Good Sunday. I'm Kurt Claycomb, and this is On Location. Today we're going to be talking to two individuals that have a certain passion for music, specifically the Illinois Symphony Orchestra. And then we go downtown to the county building and talk with Sheriff Neil Williamson, who begins to wrap up 5 terms as Sheriff of Sangamon County. It's Sunday, and we are on location. The season begins anew for the Illinois Symphony Orchestra. We invited conductor Alistair Willis and also executive director Trevor Orthman to talk about their passion and the upcoming season. And welcome to another edition of On Location. Today we're here at Beatty Televisual and we're talking with two very distinguished gentlemen. Thank you for coming in today. It's Trevor Orthman and also Alistair Willis, the conductor of the Illinois Symphony Orchestra. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in today, and we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to meet with us. And first off, Maestro, can you tell me a little bit about where you hail from?
Wow. Well, good morning, Curtis. I hail from, well, I'm not actually sure, really. I mean, I was born in America. My dad was Australian, and my mum's English. So where am I from? I've got 2 passports. I could have 3, but English, I grew up most of my formative life in England, hence the accent, but American roots, so technically I think I'm half and half.
Half and half, okay.
We'll go with that, I think.
Very nice, thanks. And Trevor, what about yourself? I know you're executive director of the Illinois Symphony Orchestra, and kind of tell me a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
Sure. I grew up actually north of Springfield, about 6 hours in central Wisconsin, but then studied in Texas as well as in Pennsylvania and was on the East Coast managing an orchestra for 13 seasons before coming to Springfield 4 years ago. So I've been with the orchestra for 4 seasons.
Wow, that's a tremendous journey it sounds like you've been on. And Alistair, can you tell me a little bit about how you became involved as a conductor and where you studied and a little bit about that background in particular?
Sure. Well, my high school years were in England and also my university years. And it was at Bristol University in England that I discovered conducting. I conducted the choral society there and also the chamber orchestra, and then I was hooked. I went on to study my master's at Rice University in Houston, and that was in 1996, and I haven't left. I've been here all that time, which is coming up to 17 years now in America. And right out of school, I got a job as the assistant conductor with the Cincinnati Symphony for 1 year, and then 3 years with the Seattle Symphony as the associate conductor. Then I spent 9 years on the road, so to speak, traveling around the world, mainly North America, guest conducting. Have Suitcase will travel, will conduct. Have Baton will conduct. And this is now my 2nd season as music director of the wonderful Illinois Symphony Orchestra.
And what drives you? What motivates you?
Wow. You know, I asked that question to a friend of mine once who was he was a drummer. And I knew what the answer was, and he said, rhythm. It's kind of obvious, but this guy, when you met this guy, he was rhythm. Rhythm was his life. And I was always impressed with that answer because you saw him, every little bit of him was moving, always had energy and focusing in some kind of rhythm. And I feel that, you know, it's a corny answer, but what drives me is music. You know, as a conductor, I can't turn it off like we can on our hi-fis at home, or if we still have hi-fis. I meant iPods and radios and things. Right. The music is always on somewhere, and what drives me is the incredible palette of music that's been composed over centuries, which I, have the privilege of leading with orchestras around the world and bringing to life for audiences. And I love doing that.
You guys, you're both power play people in the symphony. and it's tough to keep directing questions to one and then the other. I could spend a half hour with each of you, I'm sure. Now, Trevor, what basically are your functions as executive director?
I oversee the administrative operations of the symphony. The symphony is very unique in that we actually perform in Springfield as well as in Bloomington Normal community. So for every one of our concert cycles, we will have 2 performances, one here in Springfield, one in Bloomington Normal. We have a series of 5 symphony orchestra concerts and 3 chamber orchestra concerts a year. So we oversee that, hiring the guest artists, arranging for the halls, arranging for all of the marketing and also the fundraising, which comes through sponsorships from many corporations in the community, individuals, a very large outpouring of individual giving, as well as also program book advertising sales, and then grants from government sources as well as foundations. So to oversee that aspect, and in both communities we also have volunteer guilds which also help in our large gala fundraisers that we have each year that raise over $100,000 combined for the orchestra. So overseeing all of the volunteers and all of the administrative operations of the orchestra.
That's quite a juggling act.
It's a fun juggling act.
And so we're coming into another season, so there has to be fundraising going on right now.
There definitely is fundraising going on. We're currently, lining up hopefully our final sponsorships for this year, and we're actually planning the next season. So we're in the throes now of discussing and arranging dates and concert halls for the 2014-2015 season. But this year, we're still looking for sponsors for some of our guest artists who will be appearing, which Alistair can talk about probably in a minute, as well as just some great, exciting things we're doing this year connected to the region with Lincoln, and it's just going to, it's going to be great, as well as in our education programs for elementary school age children. We're actually partnering with Carnegie Hall in their Link Up program this year. So some new initiatives that should be exciting and fun, and hopefully see great growth of the symphony.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now, back to you, Alistair. Sorry, we keep having this tennis match going on. So how do you go about picking the selections for each of the performances?
Well, the choosing of the repertoire is always a collaborative endeavor. When I first got the job this time last year, I got a call from the from the chairman of the board, and then Trevor, and Trevor said, "We need a season for last year." And I said, "I'll have one by the morning." And I put the phone down. I didn't realize how silly that was, and how it just was the wrong thing to say, because I put the phone down. I made a list of all my favorite pieces, salivating with every single one, and then realized, hang on, that's not right. That's not how to go about. It's not about me. It's about the community. And if anything, this next season that we're just about to start, for me, above all, we're trying to find deeper roots in our community. We've got another blockbuster season for you, but we're going to go deeper and use more resources that we have right here under our fingertips here in Central Illinois. So we still have our Home for the Holidays concert, or Holidays in the Heartland concert, it's called, where we're going to invite local performing arts group like Springfield Ballet, Springfield Youth Performance Group, the Youth Orchestra, the Sangamon Valley Youth Orchestra, and also from Bloomington we're going to have Ballet USA, we're going to have the Bloomington Normal Youth Orchestra. We're invited a chorus from the University of
Illinois
State University. I'm still getting all the universities mixed. Illinois State University will be the focus of our concert, and so these connections really help this incredible concert. But more than that, we have, as Trevor mentioned, we're doing a concert featuring Abraham Lincoln, Aaron Copland's Lincoln Portrait. We found a really unique way of presenting that. Of course, we all know Lincoln Portrait by Aaron Copland, but we hope that we're going to inspire people to come and see how we're going to do it. And I won't give too many details now because we haven't got too much time. But also, we're going to involve the Illinois State University's theater department to come and help us with music from Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet. We've invited them to do something in between the 9 sections of the music that we're going to perform. We've just got more engagement. And as Trevor said, the Carnegie Hall link-up for our education system, that is involving our schools on a much more hands-on and participatory way in our concerts, which is going to help and make everything just more connected and deeper in our communities, which is, I think, what we need to be doing and what we are doing.
Sure. Now, you're starting the season off with the Centennial Celebration.
We are.
So tell me a little bit about that, and when and where can we see you do this?
October the 12th here in Springfield, and the day before, October the 11th, in Bloomington. It's our opening of the season. We are so excited to present one of the greatest masterpieces ever composed, and it was composed 100 years ago in 1913. Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. Now, I could talk for hours about this piece, its background, its fascinating, its history, the riot that broke out at the premiere. Was it because of the music or because of the completely crazy choreography? Combination of both. So many factors, but it was an event in history that just, must be recognized and celebrated, and we're delighted to be presenting that piece. But there's another piece by a composer called Benjamin Britten, and he was born in 1913, so he'd be 100 today if he was still alive. One of the most famous the most important English composers there is, and he wrote a piece which was originally intended for television called A Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. And it is actually got another title, which is Variations in Fugue on a Theme by Henry Purcell. So you can do this as an education piece or as a concert piece. And we've decided to do it as a concert piece. But bottom line, it goes through the orchestra, it presents the orchestra in a unique way to the audience. And I like to call it a guide to the orchestra for young people of all ages.
Well, that was certainly a mouthful. Now, can you guys, would you like to, we're running short of time, of course, as we always are on this particular program, but is there anything you would, either one of you or both of you, would like to touch upon before we get out of here today?
I think the most important thing is that we want to see the community at the concerts, in the concert hall. This season, as Alistair explained, really connects with the community. And I think we have sort of a great menu of programs, if we were to sort of take it to that restaurant experience, that there's, some great appetizers, wonderful main courses, and definitely some decadent desserts. So it's time to get out and experience that, and maybe have dinner beforehand and then come for another dinner of great symphony music.
Now, the first performance, October 12th, correct? At 8 p.m.?
At 8 o'clock p.m. at Sangamon Auditorium, and at 7 o'clock p.m. there's a pre-concert discussion with Alistair and invited guests.
Right.
Good morning, girls and boys, young and old, and welcome to Seuss on the Loose with your very own Illinois Symphony Orchestra, led by music director Alistair Willis. This morning's concert is brought to you through the generous support of PNC, State Farm, Susan Cook House Educational Trust, St. John's Children's Hospital, Lesser Franklin Charitable Trust, Target, the Springfield Area Arts Council, and the Illinois Arts Council. Now sit back, relax, and fasten your seatbelts as we go on an incredible musical journey with the Illinois Symphony Orchestra.
Sheriff Neil Williamson. Hours of this program could be dedicated to this man, a man who has served to protect us and our neighborhoods for decades. Now, you might know him as a member of the Springfield Police Department, or perhaps Crime Stoppers. He's even been known for the man on the gasoline pumps, or the backyard barbecues, or instituting the dirt unit. We stopped by the sheriff's office to reminisce about a few of those years. Here we are at the Sangamon County Complex with Sheriff Neil Williamson. Sheriff, thank you so much for inviting us in today.
It's my pleasure.
As you begin to close out your tenure here at the Sangamon County building and in Sangamon County. So can you tell me 5 terms as sheriff, plus years before that in law enforcement, where did it all start and how did you get involved in law enforcement?
Well, yeah, 5 terms, it's a long, long time, especially in this county. It's very, very political, as you know. 20 years as sheriff, it's just unheard of. And every day I'm the longest serving sheriff in the history of Sangamon County. And we've been here 192 years. But I've been very, very lucky, very, very fortunate. I was raised, of course, by great parents who gave me a good work ethic and just know how to treat people and talk to people. And I think that goes a long way in being a public servant or an elected official. But it all began when I joined the Springfield Police Department right after I graduated from Western University in 1973. I received my bachelor's degree in law enforcement, and back in those days it was kind of unheard of for anyone to join in law enforcement that had a bachelor's degree. People had some college, but it was becoming quite the thing. So I took the city police test when I graduated from Western in the summer of '73, and in October of 1973 I was lucky enough again to join the Springfield Police Department. I came on with one other individual, and at the Springfield Police Department I had a variety of jobs, mostly patrol and traffic, but I was very fortunate in, I believe it was about 1982, to be assigned to crime prevention, and that was probably the defining, changing part of my police career. When I went away from like being an officer that went out and arrested people to where I went out educating people on how not to be the victims of crime. And that changed my whole outlook on law enforcement.
It's such a critical thing.
It's absolutely
Teach
critical.
people really
Right.
what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
And to prevent them from moving into the bad direction.
Right, and every time I went to a crime scene, I looked at the area, like maybe a burglary. You could see areas where this could have been prevented. There were simple things that homeowner could do to prevent this. And so I thought, well, it's better to teach people not to be the victims of crime, whether it be women in purse snatchings or burglaries or stealing bikes. There's everything. And it's easier on them and it's better for us. So I did. And that was in the early 80s, and I joined the crime prevention unit. And all over town we did neighborhood watch programs and self-protection for women. And then in 1984, I was again fortunate enough to be at the right place at the right time, that I was assigned as the coordinator for the Crime Stoppers program of Sangamon and Menard counties. Wow. Now the program had just started. It had only been a year old, and it was just fledgling. And I was lucky enough again to energize that program and kind of make it a household name. And not only did Crime Stoppers become a household name, so did mine. Oh. So everybody kind of knew who Neil Williamson was. And I was.
So is that kind of how it evolved into maybe the thought process of running for sheriff?
Yes, I think it was. There was I was on several promotion lists with the city, and I never was promoted, and it was a little political, and I got passed over. But that's neither here nor there. And I was a little frustrated. And so when I had my 20 years on at the Springfield Police Department, I was only 43. I could retire, but I couldn't collect a pension. So, but my wife, Patty, said, Neil, why don't you just put your resume out and see what's out there? Maybe there's a state job or something. And so we put my resume out, and within a month, I get a call from the political leaders here in the county and said, hey, how would you like to be the sheriff? Well, I panicked. The sweat was just rolling down my forehead as me. But my wife and I talked about it. She said, you've got to go for it. You've got to take a chance in life. And I was 43. And I was appointed the sheriff when my good friend Bill DeMarco stepped down. And I finished out his 4 terms and was elected in the November of 1994 election. And then I've been 4 more elections since then. So
amazing.
it's been amazing.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history, you might say. And I thought, when I first became sheriff, I thought, well, maybe I'll spend 2 terms, 8 years, and then maybe quit, do something else.
Right.
But it was 3 terms, and then 4 terms, now 5 terms. But my mom always told me, Kurt, she says, my mom said, never stay any place too long where you wear out your welcome. And you can kind of get a sense, well, you've been here too long, or maybe the people are saying, it's time for somebody else. And, that's what it kind of is. I don't want to overstay. I'm only going to be 64 next year, which is young.
That's young, absolutely.
But you there's a time for a change, and your heart tells you that, hey, it's ready. And 41 years in law enforcement to me is enough. It's everything we deal with it wears on you. Everything's a problem.
Right.
There's a catastrophe. People are hurt. There's no money in the budget in the county has been cut. The jail, we're involved in a lot of lawsuits. Everybody sues everybody anymore. That's one of the big changes.
Right.
And so it's just every day you feel like I'm in a pressure cooker like we had when we were kids, and Mom had that thing that rocks on top and about ready to blow up. That's what it feels like. Every day you're in this pressure cooker.
Now, you've had a lot of years. What would you say is maybe 1 or 2 of your largest accomplishments as sheriff?
Well, as sheriff, of course, technology has changed. We all had to keep up with that. It's very expensive, but we've got the new multi-channel radios that are interoperable with all the other agencies. Before, we couldn't talk to the FBI or the city or any other agency. We could just talk to ourselves. Now we have radios that we can talk to anybody, and that was a result of 911.
Right.
Computers in cars, we can go to a scene of a crime out in the county, and the deputy can do the report right from his car and file the report instead of come back here to the office and do a handwritten report. That's huge. Secondly, I think the increased in professionalism of the recruits that we hire. Before, if you wanted to be a deputy, all you had to have was a high school diploma or GED.
Right, you've raised that bar.
Yes, now to be hired, you have to have at least a 4-year college degree. It doesn't have to be in law enforcement, but at least a 4-year degree. And then when you take the test, I handpick each deputy. And there's things I look for in these deputies that you can't test for. I'm looking for people with good character, good integrity, good morals, a good work ethic, compassion for the job, empathy for people, wanting to help, and maybe a sense of humor. And those are the things I am looking for in a complete package in a deputy.
You've been around a long time, so and you have stabilized the sheriff's department and have made it grow with the decreasing amount of funds that you've had over the years. You seem like a guy that would never stop working, so I can't imagine what you're going to do once you hit that retirement bell. So what does the future hold for Sheriff Neil Williamson?
Well, there's all kinds of rumors, but don't listen to the rumors, because some of the rumors say, well, you're going to run for this office and you're going to run for that office. I think if I was going to run again for another political office, it would be sheriff again, because I do love this job. So anything else is probably just a rumor. But I've got grandkids. I've got 3. I've got 1 grandson that lives in Breckenridge, Colorado. We plan on visiting, and I think my wife and I are we're going to catch up from things we missed over the last 25 years, because our whole life has been dedicated to this job and this office, to making sure this is a success. We've kind of neglected taking care of ourselves, you might say, and
so it's time to maybe relax a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to relax. Retirement is, to me, retirement.
Well, if you're like my father, he was always busier after he retired than when he was working. So hopefully you will find time to get out there and relax and spend time with your grandchildren and your wife, of course. And other than that, on behalf of the city and myself, thank you very much for your service to the community. And I wish you the best of luck
Thank you.
in all your endeavors.
Well, thank you.
that come
It
up
has
this
been
way.
my honor and privilege to serve this community. Thank you, Kurt.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
And we'll be right back.
And that does it for another Sunday here on Location. We would like to hear from you, so please drop us a line with your comments or suggestions to On Location, care of Beatty Televisual, 1287 Wabash Avenue, Springfield, Illinois, 62704. And please don't forget you could always catch up on the shows on our YouTube channel. That's On Location 217. Again, remember, if it's Sunday, it's On Location.